The Greek king's minister began reciting the story of a prince whose biggest passion in life was to hunt. One day, he and the king's vizier, who'd grown tired of the prince's antics, went hunting. When the party came across a beautiful deer, the vizier asked the prince to chase after it, while he himself stayed back with a devious grin on his face. The prince rushed after the deer on his horse, unable to see anything but the prey in front of his eyes. As he rode further into the forest, he lost sight of the deer, realizing that he was lost. At that moment, in one corner of the forest, he encountered a young girl shedding silent tears. After learning that her situation was not much different from his own, the prince felt sorry for the young girl and decided to take her along. The two journeyed on the back of his horse for a while until the girl asked him to stop. As the girl's feet hit the cold, hard ground, her beautiful face turned ugly and her elegant appearance gave way to a beast. The prince, realizing that he'd been tricked by the vizier, prayed to God to save his life, and his wish was granted when the beast suddenly turned on its heel, leaving him behind. As the Greek king's envious minister recited his story, he asked the king to heed this tale and remarked that Sage Ruyan could pull a simple trick at any time to harm the king, just as he'd easily healed his illness. The minister's plan was a success, and his venomous words slowly seeped into the king's blood. He immediately ordered the arrest of Sage Ruyan, having been convinced that he must be a spy for the enemy, sent on a mission to earn his trust, and then annihilate him. The king summoned Sage Ruyan to his court and announced that he was to be executed on this very day for espionage. The sage, realizing that the king was adamant in his intentions, begged the king for one last chance to go home and fetch a book. If he truly believed that the sage was a spy for the enemy, then this book would reveal the truth to him. The king agreed to grant his wish and ordered the guards to accompany him back home. The sage returned to the king's court with a thick book and asked the king to read a few pages of it. The king turned the pages of the book, surprised to see that they were blank. It suddenly dawned on him, too late, that he was already dead. The sage had poisoned the pages of the book, and the poison consumed the king's life, while at the same time saving his own. Back in the fisherman's world in the first episode of these stories, the fisherman recited this tale to the genie, explaining that if he hadn't wished for the death of the fisherman, then he wouldn't have to be imprisoned in a cask, about to be thrown into the sea. The genie begged one last time to be freed. However, whether he was freed or not remains a story to be told another day.